Hi guys, welcome to the second part of the cell shading tutorial. This tutorial will be using the cell shading technique in the last video and apply it to a simple cartoon character, my OC drama. Be sure to familiarize yourself with the concepts in part 1 before you continue here. Step 1. The first step is to establish the local color. Use the magic wand to select the outside of the line art. Invert the selection and on a new layer below the line layer, fill it with a skin color or any color really. You can always come back and change this. Make sure there's no gap in the outer contour of your line art or the selection will come within the silhouette. Now you can opacity lock this layer and do all the local base colors on one layer, but I prefer to have a few different layers, each one for a different color. For example, for the hair, I create a new layer and clip it to the base layer. Now I pick a hair color and fill in the hair shape. I ended up with 5 or 6 different layers for the different colors that I have. This just makes it easier to change these colors if I wanted to later. Now select all these layers and group them into a folder with Ctrl G or Command G on the Mac. Now onto the actual shading part. My goal here is to apply a pretty simple lighting scheme, the standard double rim light. In this lighting scheme, I basically only need to outline the character from the top left and bottom right. First, we start with the top left light. Above the base layer folder, create a new layer, fill it with a random color, maybe medium darkness, change it to multiply and clip it to the folder below, and turn on the layer mask. I picked a 50% gray color that will mask away about 50% of the shadow layer. Imagine the head to be just a sphere. Turning on the first light, I'll need some lights from the top left region. Make sure you are on the layer mask and not the layer. I'll pick black now to fully mask away areas that I want lights to land on. When you start deciding on the details, you can imagine little ellipsoids for these smaller shapes, each one of which will have its own little rim light. You can use the color picker to choose between the mask values that you've used so far. With the light from the top left completed, I'll imagine some shadow parts in the lower right regions of these smaller shapes. Now I'm gonna use something closer to white on the mask to let more of that multiply layer or the shadow come through. We'll be using the same logic and procedure for the second light source, except this time it's coming from the lower right. Create a new layer, name it light 2 or something, clip it to the layers below, fill it with a secondary light color of your choice. I chose blue. Now create a layer mask, and while having the mask selected, invert it so the corresponding layer is fully blocked or masked. Now pick a non-black color to reveal the light layer where you need it. I ended up going over the regions that the first light was hitting, but that was not necessary. The secondary light source comes from the lower right, so I simply needed to outline the smaller shapes in that region. Again, you can color pick to get the mask values that you've used before. With that, the cell shading portion is done. What's left is to experiment with different color schemes and adjustments. For example, you can go back and change the hair color, eye colors, or the lighting colors. You can add a thick outline to make it more cartoony. You can use a smudge brush to soften your cel shading edges on the mask layers. The flexibility offered by this method is quite endless. I ended up turning on a purple overlay layer. Since my line art was so messy, I added a thick cartoony outline. To do that, I control-click the base color layer to select the overall silhouette, create a new layer, and outline it by going to Edit and select Stroke. Additionally, you can opacity lock the outline layer and change its color. Personally, I prefer straight black, but here I put in some random colors just for fun. Now again is the most important part, practice. I've included the drama PSD in the description for y'all to play with. In folder 1, everything is done for you. You just have to paint the lights in with the masks. The second folder, the base color is done for you, and in the third folder, only the line art is done. Thanks for watching. Let me know here or on Instagram if you have any questions.